The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the Vraxian ambassador slammed 3 of his 4 fists onto the obsidian table. His scales rippled with barely contained fury, each one shifting from deep violet to crimson, a clear threat display recognized across 17 sectors. "This is an outrage," Ambassador Kelth hissed, his translator crackling with the force of his anger. "Humanity assigns a trained killer to guard our children, and you expect us to accept this?" Captain Mara Chen stood at parade rest near the observation window, her expression as calm as the void beyond the station's walls. She didn't flinch, didn't argue, didn't even acknowledge the accusation with more than a slight tilt of her head. 20 years in the Terran Defense Corps had taught her that silence often spoke louder than words. Beside her, however, a small figure bristled with indignation. Rook, barely 4 feet tall, covered in soft gray fur with oversized ears that twitched with every emotion, stepped forward on digitigrade legs. The young Keshian cub was supposed to be in the education wing, but news traveled fast on a space station, especially when it involved your favorite human. "Ambassador Kelth," Rook's voice rang out, high-pitched but remarkably steady. "With respect, you don't know what you're talking about." A ripple of shock moved through the council. Children, especially alien children, did not interrupt ambassadorial proceedings. Mara's hand moved almost imperceptibly, a gentle gesture that said, "I've got this," without words. But Rook was already speaking, his small chest puffed out with the courage only the young possess. "Captain Mara saved my life 3 cycles ago during the Helion raid. She carried me and 6 other younglings through a collapsing corridor while fighting off 4 armed insurgents. She took 3 plasma burns doing it." Rook's voice wavered slightly, but he pressed on. "My mother died in that attack. Captain Mara held me while I cried. She stayed with me every night for a week until I could sleep without nightmares." The Vraxian ambassador's scales began to settle back toward Violet, but his skepticism remained. "The human military records are clear. Captain Chen has 73 confirmed kills. She was part of the Ghost Brigade during the Titan uprising. These are not the qualifications of a caretaker." "No," Mara finally spoke, her voice soft but carrying clearly through the chamber. "They're the qualifications of someone who understands exactly what's at stake." She took a single step forward, and despite her unassuming stature, barely average height for a human, every eye in the room tracked her movement. "I've seen what happens when guards aren't trained well enough, when they hesitate at the wrong moment, when they don't understand tactical assessment under pressure." Her dark eyes swept the council. "I've held dying children in my arms because their protectors were chosen for their diplomatic credentials rather than their ability to keep them alive." The Centaurian representative, a crystalline being who communicated through light pulses, flickered a question. "Why would a soldier of your caliber accept assignment to child protection?" Mara's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Because after you've seen enough death, you start valuing life differently. And because someone very wise once told me that protecting the future matters more than avenging the past." "She teaches us too," another voice piped up. A Delphinian child, aquatic species floating in a mobility sphere, rolled forward. "Captain Mara shows us self-defense but also meditation. She says knowing when not to fight is more important than knowing how to fight." "She helps me with my mathematics," added a Thorian youngster, their rocky exterior clicking with enthusiasm. "She's very patient, even when I get the same problem wrong 5 times." Rook's ears perked up with pride. "And she tells the best stories. She doesn't hide the scary parts, but she always explains why things happened and what we can learn." Ambassador Kelth's scales had fully returned to their neutral violet, but he wasn't ready to concede. "The concern remains. Earth has a reputation. Your species has been involved in more military conflicts in the past century than the previous 10 combined. Your training produces warriors, not caregivers." "That's true," Mara acknowledged, surprising everyone. "Humans do have a talent for warfare. We've spent most of our history fighting each other, our environment, anyone who threatened us. We got very, very good at it." She paused, letting that uncomfortable truth settle. "But we also learned something else. We learned that the fiercest fighters can become the gentlest teachers. That the same hands that can disassemble a plasma rifle in 14 seconds can also bandage a scraped knee. That hypervigilance developed on battlefields makes us exceptionally attuned to a child's needs before they even voice them. Rook nodded vigorously. She always knows when I'm sad, even when I try to hide it. And she never makes me talk about it if I don't want to. She just stays nearby, where I can see her. The chamber was quiet now, the earlier hostility evaporating into something more contemplative. Earth trains assassins, Mara said quietly. Earth trains soldiers, snipers, infiltrators, and tactical specialists. We train people to end threats with precision and finality. And yes, I am all of those things. She looked directly at Ambassador Kelth. But Earth also trains protectors. We train people who will put themselves between danger and the innocent without hesitation, who will take a plasma burn to shield a child they've known for 5 minutes, who understand that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is be gentle. Rook moved to stand beside Mara, his small hand finding hers. She gave it a gentle squeeze. The ambassador is right to be cautious, Rook said, his voice clearer now, more confident. Parents should question who guards their children. But he should also ask us, the children who know Captain Mara. We'll tell him the truth. And what truth is that? Kelth asked, his tone genuinely curious now. Rook smiled, showing tiny fangs. That they claimed Earth-trained assassins, and they're right. But Captain Mara is the nicest one they have, and that's exactly why we trust her. The young cub looked up at Mara with undisguised admiration. Because someone who knows how to kill but chooses to protect instead? That's the kind of person you want watching over you when the bad things come. Mara felt an unfamiliar warmth in her chest, something the Ghost Brigade had never quite managed to train out of her. She'd toppled governments, eliminated high-value targets, survived impossible odds. But standing here, hand in hand with a small alien child defending her honor, this felt like the most important mission of her life. Ambassador Kelth's scales flickered through several colors before settling on a soft blue, acceptance and respect in Vraxian expression. Perhaps, he said slowly, humanity's greatest weapon isn't their capacity for violence, but their capacity to channel it into protection. Perhaps, Mara agreed with the ghost of a smile. Rook squeezed her hand tighter, and in that moment, Captain Mara Chen, veteran of a dozen campaigns, holder of commendations she wasn't allowed to discuss, felt something she hadn't felt in years. She felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be.